Welcome to this edition of EdTech Mondays Kenya. This month's episode feels rather special because we're talking about how sign language digital content is transforming learning for deaf children. We've always said that language is the foundation of learning, yet for many deaf children in Kenya, school is the first place they encounter Kenyan Sign Language or KSL. Without early exposure to language and accessible learning materials, many learners struggle to develop literary skills and fully engage with the curriculum. Studio KSL, an innovation by eKitabu, is addressing this challenge by developing accessible digital learning materials designed specifically for deaf and hard of hearing learners. Today, we explore why language access matters, how technology is making learning more inclusive, and what schools, families, and policymakers can do to ensure every deaf child has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you all so much for joining us on this edition. I'm your host, Ian Wafula. Now, before we go on, here are some key terms that you'll actually hear throughout this episode. The first one is Kenyan Sign Language or KSL, which I talked about earlier. This is the official sign language used by the deaf community in Kenya. Then we have accessible learning materials, which refers to educational resources designed so that all learners, including those with disabilities, can access and use them. The third one is Digital StoryTime, which is an interactive digital learning platform developed by Studio KSL that provides storybooks featuring Kenyan Sign Language videos, English narration, written captions, illustrations, and comprehension activities. Then we have language acquisition, which is the process through which children learn and develop language. We also have assistive educational technology, which refers to digital tools and technologies designed to remove learning barriers and improve access to education for learners with diverse needs, including learners with disabilities. Finally, we have deaf and hard of hearing learners, which refers to learners who experience varying degrees of hearing loss. Let us now listen to Vincent Owino, the Inclusive Content Production Manager at eKitabu, who will tell us more about Studio KSL and what inspired its creation.
So Studio KSL is housed in eKitabu. So this means eKitabu is the umbrella. So we are just as a department, which I lead in content production in the department. We started this because we were to make accessible learning materials for that all learners can use. So Studio KSL started in 2018. I've partnered with different organizations, including KICD, where we get content from them and we adapt it into sign language. So when it got to 2020, during the pandemic, so most of the schools, as you are aware, were closed. Children went back home. So for the hearing child, they could continue learning through the television and radio and all that. But for the deaf learner, they could not access this content. So this is where Studio KSL was birthed. We partnered with KICD through Edu TV and channel, and we broadcasted our content there. So we started small, but now it's growing. Our focus is on accessible digital learning materials. So mostly we work with deaf children and the visually impaired. So we go to the different schools, we do sign language assessment, we train the teachers on how to use the content. Yes, we develop the content, but how will the teacher be able to use? So we have to train them on how to use it. And then those are two amongst other things. So we have different deaf organizations who work with externally as well. So we have worked in different schools, as I mentioned, but we directly engage with the school. The school we directly engage at 35. This is where we visit them regularly. We have different relationships. We have deployed teachers to them. Other schools, we just give them the content. So our impact is the deployment of a teacher. We give them a deaf teacher who will be able to understand the learners. For example, here in Murang'a, we have given a teacher where we cater for her salary. Everything is on us, but she follows the school administration rules. This is a way of creating the sign language rich environment that we talked about. A deaf teacher who understands the language and the culture. We also give content to the school. So this content is in line, as I said, with the curriculum to support the teaching. We also do trainings and different aspects like special education, caring children with disabilities, content utilization. So the universal design for learning. So for the past 4 years, the experience we have had is they're really liking the program. Recently, we had planned to close the project because of lack of resources, but most of the schools were really begging with us that this may continue because if we leave, then there will be a gap there. Some of the schools we go to, they have no teachers. So when we give them a teacher, they're normally in charge of maybe 3 classes because the rest of the classes do not have a teacher. So they say, if we close this project, how will these learners remain? Because they do not have a teacher. So they're begging us to continue. And we believe we'll continue because we have seen a lot of impact in the different schools we have gone to. So any person who wants to partner with us in this is very much welcome to do so. Our project is focused on 3 areas. There's the parental, the teacher, and the learner. So for the parent angle, what we do, we believe language development is a challenge because inception is at home because there's no sign language at home. So if we take the child to school, the teacher will do her best or his best, and the learner will learn sign language. But when they go home, the language will disappear because there's no one to connect or to interact with. Because as we know, a language, if you don't use it, it will disappear. So we do parental trainings where we pick different parents from different schools. We train them on how to take care of their learners, or rather their children at home. Different ways they can take care of their children. So that because we cannot be able to train all the parents, so we pick a few from different schools, we bring them together. Then they become our community facilitators. They go back to the community and train the other parents who were not able to attend. So in the western part of Kenya, we have gone into the different schools we have trained and we have seen very big improvement. The number that we started with now is growing. In Kamau, we have seen the parents that we trained have already taken this information back to the community. So we believe this training will continue, will help the parents to share knowledge and experience so that they can know how to take care of their kids at home. Honestly, in Kenya, we're very good on paperwork. We create good policies. As a student of special education, I've already seen many policies which are very beautiful, but implementation is where the problem is. If you read the special needs education policy, the education sector of caring children with special needs, these 2 policies, they're very beautiful. Everything needed is already recorded there, but implementation, wapi. So we have a policy that says in a room, we must have, rather classroom must have a ratio of 1 to 12 learners, 1 teacher to 12 learners. But if you look at these different schools, some of the schools have even over 30 learners and 1 teacher, some 40. So what does this mean? The policy is there, it's beautiful, it is very good, but the implementation hasn't happened. This is the biggest gap. Then the other thing, for me, I believe if we have a few policy change, it will, we can say that teachers in the ECD sector should be deaf. Reason being, as a deaf learner, I come and I will connect more with a deaf teacher. We'll build our language than just bringing a hearing teacher who they may have a few disconnects, because I'm not attacking any teacher, let me make this statement clear, but we want to talk about language development in the lower grades. This can only be changed if we build this language with a deaf teacher. Then all the policies which are written need to see how we can implement them, not just putting them on shelves. So generally in Kenya, as I can say, we have good policies, but the implementation is where the problem is.
Teachers are often the first point of contact for learners in schools, and as such, let's hear from Annastasia Kamau and her colleague Rukia Abdi, both of whom are teachers at the Murang'a School for the Hearing Impaired.
I learned at ECDE College, and I did my certificate level in Embu, and then I came to teach here, and I teach all the subjects. And at the same time, I have also been trained in KSL by eKitabu. I did my training at KISE, Kenya Institute of Special Education, where I learned the KSL language. And then I moved to this place and I got a job where I have now learned more about the language. And then also I have been trained by eKitabu, and where I grasped more knowledge and skills on KSL. Before, while I was new here in school, I would teach PP1, and I would have challenges with sign language. And then when DST was introduced, I observed that sign language improved. And when we came to PP2, I continued teaching, and I realized that the literacy skills improved very well amongst the learners. When we had the DST program introduced into the school, the students was more motivated that they would sit in the society and gain language both out in the society and also here in school. Annastasia is saying that how do we create a rich learning environment here in school? First of all, we give a lot of learning practices, and also at the same time, also we make and also we create a learning environment that is comfortable for the learners. How? By allowing the learners to interact with the environment freely. Or Anastasia is saying that the support that we have received here is the DST program, Digital StoryTime, because before we did not have the videos, but now we can see we have the videos, which have made our teaching easier. And at the same time, the children have developed a lot of motivation, so that it makes learning activities, and that the children enjoy the learning activities in class. And then when they practice, they become better. And then the concept is grasped more easily. It is possible that they can receive a lot of support from the community, from the government, and also from the school. That they can help us in many ways and to help us teach many things. For example, we could have more laptops. The ones that we have are few. If possible, we could get more support that we may have more laptops in the school. And Rukia adds that we don't have enough KSL textbooks. And also Annastasia adds, because sometimes we don't have enough time, and we have many subjects to teach, we lag behind in syllabus coverage because the time of the terms are very short and squeezed. And also, Annastasia would like to add that we have a bit of a challenge with our internet connectivity. Yes. For me, I normally encourage the parents to learn sign language so that when they're over there at home, they can easily communicate with their children.
Up next is Mr. Geoffrey Machunia, who is the Deputy Principal for Murang'a School for the Hearing Impaired, and who will also tell us why he decided to adopt Studio KSL's Digital StoryTime resources.
With the current situation of our education system, which is CBE and CBC, digital literacy is one of the key components. So this one was an eye-opener to us, and it really helped so that it enhances the digital literacy of our learners. So the program is very good for our school and also for our learners in that perspective. Since we have got all the grades, especially the lower primary and the ECD, and these are the learners who are in their formative stages, so the app helped them in day-to-day learning. So it is integrated with the lessons that happens in the school. Generally, we have got the Kenya National Examination Council, which give us the school-based assessments. So we normally download, we give to the learners, and then we upload the marks on that portal. So in terms of assessment, the teachers also give continuous assessment tests for these learners, and this one also helps to give us the feedback how the learners are progressing. Our teachers, we do a lot of capacity building. We also encourage them to use the digital platform, and that is the ICT integration into their lessons. So whenever they are teaching, we normally encourage them, and they normally use these applications in their almost all the lessons that they are taking. Because our learners who are hearing impaired, they are visual learners. So whenever you present them learning with visual aids, like now this technology where they can be able to view, observe the videos, actually it enhances their learning, and they learn so well with that application. It has made an impact, a very, very major significant change in the way the learners understand or get the concepts. Our school, we have made it to be disability friendly. It's very, very conducive for our learners. Even as you walk aloud, you can see we have got so many posters. We have got a lot of sign language written all over. And for the community, we normally involve them. We have some interactions, like maybe the neighboring schools. We have some programs whereby, like in games, we exchange those programs. They come to our school, we also go to them. And during that play, when they are competing, they are in a way using the sign language. Our learners also are able to do the lip reading when they are interacting. And it becomes so good because they learn sign language, and our learners also benefit a lot from those interactions. The major challenge with our learners is the language acquisition, because you realize that when they are at home, they are not using the sign language, and they mingle with the parents who are not signers. They also mingle with other peers who do not use sign language. But we do encourage them, and we also have some courses for parents such that they come and learn sign language. They can also come with their siblings, and we normally do that capacity building to the parents so that they are also able to interact and communicate with their learners when they are at home. CBE entails parental involvement and engagement. So we make sure that the parents are involved in the aspects of the learners' learning. So we normally call them for meetings like the AGM when they're bringing the learners to school, and also we have got some days, education days, where we call the parents, And we normally enlighten them on how they can also assist their learners, especially during the holidays, so that they also get some digital literacy.
It's time now to look at some myths and misconceptions about sign language digital content. The first one is that deaf learners do not need early language exposure because they will naturally learn sign language in school.
Delayed language acquisition affects literacy, communication, and overall learning outcomes. Early exposure to language is essential for cognitive development.
The next one is that accessible learning materials only benefit learners with disabilities.
Accessible content supports different learning styles and can benefit all learners through multimedia approaches, including visuals, audio, and interactive learning.
The third one is that technology alone can solve inclusive education challenges.
Digital content is most effective when combined with trained teachers, deaf role models, supportive families, and appropriate assessment tools.
Finally, is that sign language is universal.
Different countries have their own sign languages. Studio KSL develops content specifically for Kenyan Sign Language while also supporting other African sign languages.
Before we go, let's hear what parents can do as soon as they discover that their child is deaf or hard of hearing.
I think the first step in a child's life, like me as a parent, normally I take them to regular checkup so that you can know where the problem is. You may assume the child is okay, but you cannot really know until you go for checkup. So they first go for assessments to all the senses so that they can be able to know what the problem is and they can be able to get referrals to the right or the appropriate schools. So the first step, as I say, is assessment, because sometimes the child might have more than one disability. So we must do assessments, and then the assessor will recommend the school to go to. And then for a parent at home, they must understand their child. If I find my child is deaf, I need to look for maybe professional support, and maybe look for a deaf community, deaf association. If I do not know, I do my research. Then I learn a few or basics of sign language, because language, love, and learning begins at home. So if they start with that, then the progress will be better. Do not worry, do not panic. Just show love to your child. Before the society accepts, you need to accept first. So you are the first person who need to accept before the society does. So when you find your child is deaf, then you can know what next. Maybe you can look for a school. Now with the Kenyan government, we have many deaf schools which are close by. But also, some referrals can lead you to a school if you do not know where exactly to find one. So also attend your learners' academic days. Just keep in touch with how he's doing or how she's doing at home. So these are the first steps on how to take care of your child. And last of all, importantly, show love.
Yes, what I can say is that special needs education is diverse because we have got learners with all these types of disabilities and impairments, and every learner should be placed in the best school or placement where they benefit. If it is the learner with hearing impairment, they should be placed in the schools catering for learners with hearing impairment. They can also benefit in regular schools with some intervention. Those who have got hard of hearing and mild hearing loss can benefit into the regular schools. But with those with severe and profound hearing loss, they can fit into a school like ours. For the other handicapping conditions and impairments, they also go into the various schools. Like we have got schools for learners with visual impairment, schools for learners with physical disabilities, and also schools for learners with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So I would urge all to be very, very positive and embrace the diverse needs of learners with special needs so that they get the best in whatever placement or whichever school they are in. I would also like to urge the government and also to congratulate the government for what they are doing. The government is very key in giving us capitation and also advocating for the needs of our learners. So that way, the learners with special needs are well catered for, and they benefit in all the education institutions where they are placed.
That's it for this edition of EdTech Mondays Kenya. Remember to follow us on social media using the hashtag EdTech Mondays Kenya to share your thoughts, and let's keep the conversation going. Special thanks to our sign language interpreter, Ms. Rose Omolo. My name is Ian Wafula. Until next time, goodbye.
EdTech Mondays Kenya is supported by the MasterCard Foundation Center for Innovative Teaching and Learning in partnership with EdTech East Africa.